They say tunnels are just empty paths through the earth. But what if I told you some tunnels don't just take you through darkness? They change you forever. People have entered these 5 mysterious tunnels across the world, and when they came out, they weren't the same. Some were silent, some couldn't sleep, some were never seen again. What really happened inside? Is it psychological, paranormal, or something darker? Tonight, I'll take you deep into the tunnels that have left people broken, haunted, or completely transformed. But be warned, once you hear these stories, you may never feel safe underground again. If you love true horror and chilling mysteries, don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. 1. Hoosac Tunnel, Massachusetts, USA. They call it the Bloody Pit. And honestly, after what I experienced there, I get why. I had always been fascinated by old engineering projects. So when I read about the Hoosac Tunnel in the Berkshire Mountains, I decided to check it out. It's a 5-mile-long tunnel, carved through the mountain back in the 1802, and more than 190 workers died building it. Some were blown up in explosions, others crushed by falling rock. Locals say many of them never left, at least, not their spirits. I went in with a small group of friends around late October. We weren't there to make fun or cause trouble, just to feel the history, maybe catch something eerie. From the moment we stepped inside, the air changed. It got cold, unnaturally cold, and there was this low hum, like machinery running far off in the distance. But everything was still. As we walked deeper, one of my friends swore he heard footsteps behind us, even though no one else was around. The weirdest part happened about halfway in. My flashlight flickered, then died, even though I had just changed the batteries that morning. When the light came back on, I saw a figure ahead just for a second. It looked like a man, standing completely still in the shadows. But when I turned to say something, he was gone. I didn't say a word to my friends at the time. When we left the tunnel, everything felt different. I felt off for days, paranoid, jumpy, like someone was always behind me. My dreams were dark, filled with crushing walls and whispers I couldn't understand. I don't know what that place does to people, but I believe the stories now. No one comes out of the Hoosac Tunnel the same. 2. Moonville Tunnel, MacArthur, Ohio, USA. I grew up in Ohio, not far from the old Moonville Tunnel. It's deep in the woods, hidden away, and most people have to hike a couple miles just to reach it. The place has always had a weird reputation. They say a railroad worker died there in the late 1802, and that his ghost still walks the tracks with a lantern, looking for something or someone. I never believed those stories until I went there myself. It was a cloudy fall afternoon when I finally made the trip with 2 friends. The woods were quiet, almost too quiet. When we reached the tunnel, it was darker than I expected. Moss covered the brick walls, and the tracks were long gone. As we stepped inside, the temperature dropped fast. It wasn't just cold, it felt heavy, like the air had weight. We laughed it off at first, trying to keep the mood light. But about halfway through, we heard it, a sharp clang, like metal hitting stone. Then, a distant shuffle. We froze. My friend called out, thinking maybe someone else was there. No answer. Then we saw it, a faint, flickering light at the far end of the tunnel. It looked like a lantern swinging, just barely visible through the fog. We didn't wait. We turned and ran out of there fast, hearts pounding. None of us spoke on the way home. That night, I had the worst sleep of my life. I kept dreaming about train tracks and footsteps behind me. For weeks, I felt uneasy, like I had taken something out of that tunnel with me, something that didn't want to be found. I don't know what's in Moonville Tunnel, but whatever it is, it doesn't stay behind when you leave. 3. Shanghai Tunnels, Portland, Oregon, USA. A few years ago, I took a trip to Portland with my cousin. We both love creepy history stuff. So someone told us about the Shanghai tunnels under the city. Back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they say men were kidnapped through these tunnels and sold off to ships, basically human trafficking before that term even existed. People would get drugged in bars above and wake up on a boat. Gone for years. That alone gave me chills, but we decided to take the tour anyway. The entrance was under this old bar near the waterfront. Right away, it felt different. The air down there was thick, damp, and weirdly still. The guide was telling stories about people who had vanished and about how some tourists said they'd seen shadows or heard whispers. I didn't think much of it until I got separated for a few seconds. I took a wrong turn and ended up standing in this small dark room by myself. It was quiet. Then, out of nowhere, I felt this cold wind pass right behind my back. Even though there's no airflow down there, I turned, expecting to see someone, but it was empty. When I rejoined the group, my cousin looked at me funny. He said I looked pale and shaken. I brushed it off, but that night in the hotel I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing what sounded like chains dragging across the floor. I even got up to check, but there was nothing. I don't know what that place holds, maybe just memories of what people suffered down there, but something definitely stays in those tunnels. And sometimes, I think it notices you. 4. Horton Mine Tunnel, Nevada, USA. This happened back in 2013 when I was road tripping across Nevada and came across the Horton Mine near Austin. I'd seen a few videos online saying it was haunted, but most people assumed it was just old mining folklore. I was curious though, and I had my camera with me, so I figured I'd go check it out during the day. The mine sits high up in the mountains, and the road leading to it is rough, like it doesn't want you there. When I reached the entrance, I could already feel how cold it was, way colder than the outside air. A thick chain hung across the front with a warning sign, but it was old and faded. I stepped in just far enough to look around and maybe take a quick video. The metal support beams inside were rusted, and water dripped from the ceiling steadily. It was dead silent, no wind, no birds, nothing. A few steps in, I started hearing what sounded like heavy machinery deep inside, like a huge metal crank turning, but faint. There's no power in the tunnel. No equipment left, just decay. I stood completely still, and then I heard chains rattle, like someone dragging them along the wall. I backed out fast, trying to stay calm. When I looked back, I thought I saw a shadow move just beyond the light from the entrance. Even after I left, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't supposed to be there. For days, I kept hearing metal sounds in my sleep. It wasn't a place you forget easily. Whatever's in Horton Mine, it doesn't like visitors, and when you leave, it makes sure you remember that. 5. Blue Ghost Tunnel, Ontario, Canada. Back in 2016, my cousin and I decided to explore some haunted places around Ontario. We had heard about the Blue Ghost Tunnel near St. Catharines, and the stories around it gave us chills. Tales of workers dying during the construction, people seeing strange lights, even hearing screams. We were both skeptics but curious enough to go and see it for ourselves. It was late afternoon when we got there, but the tunnel was already dark inside. The entrance looked like something out of a horror movie, moss-covered stone, quiet and cold. As soon as we stepped in, the temperature dropped. I don't mean slightly, I mean it felt like walking into a freezer. We had flashlights, but the beam barely cut through the thick air. It smelled like wet earth and rusted metal. We walked slowly, talking to keep our nerves steady. Suddenly, we heard footsteps behind us. Not echoes, actual footsteps, crunching on gravel. We turned, but no one was there. Then my cousin said he saw something like a shadow figure near the wall, just standing there. I didn't see it at first, but a few seconds later, I felt a sharp tug on my backpack, like someone was trying to pull me back. I spun around, heart racing, and again no one. We ran out, not even looking back. For days afterward, both of us had weird dreams. Mine were of the tunnel filling with water and people trapped inside, screaming. My cousin started sleepwalking, something he'd never done before. The Blue Ghost Tunnel isn't just an abandoned site. There's something in there, something that doesn't want to be forgotten. And when you leave, it follows, even if just in your mind.